All right, let's start the business meeting for Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the
to
republic
the republic,
stands
which stands one nation under God,
justice.
indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Yes. Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Strawn,
Present.
President Scanlon.
Present.
That's all 7 here.
Approval of minutes from July 22nd, 2020 business meeting and July 27th, 2020 special business meeting. Mr. John.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask council for unanimous approval of the minutes from the July 22nd, 2020 business meeting and the July 27th, 2020 special business meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Do you want to read the public hearing, please?
Yes, so tonight we have a public hearing. And this public hearing is regarding introductory local law 20-01, which is local law amending chapter 170 of the code of the city of Binghamton to include Article 3, consumption of alcoholic beverages by minors on private property, also known as the social host law. And we didn't receive any comments through email, but if you'd like to call in to participate in the public hearing regarding this new local law, please dial 607-772-7101. You're here for the public hearing? Okay, I'll put you on. Okay, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
John Solak, I'm a city resident. I'm in favor of this, but I don't think we need it. College kids, underage college kids that drink in private residences are nothing new. This city, for too long, for decades, has turned a blind eye to most of the shenanigans that these Binghamton University students perpetrate in the city. There's been deaths, numerous deaths, and the emergency rooms are full of binge drinking victims. Now, I note with interest Binghamton is probably a late addition into the college town business, but there's no such legislation in Ithaca and Oneonta and many, many other places. You can go in and make a bust, arrest people in charge on various other laws without this. In fact, this might complicate things. But what I've noticed in the city of Binghamton, not just with this mayor, but with many mayors, things go unenforced. And for a long period of time, people think, well, we need another law. The noise ordinance being the primary example where we bought equipment. No one went to school with the equipment. Now, this coincidentally, or maybe not be coincident, after my video July 4th, that 25,000, I think at the last count, have watched that. I saw those, how I got turned on to this afternoon party was simply by driving up Court Street. I saw a long parade going from approximately CVS with maybe 20 people with White Claw and other beverages. I said, well, this is going to be interesting. Let's see where they go. Sure enough, I found out where they were, just as a private citizen. I think that the university has got to share some burden. The university is providing what, 5-7 policemen and the substation to Johnson City. Right now, they don't have thousands, they have buildings there. They've got a building downtown in Binghamton. But we've got thousands of their students here. And what do we get? One officer. We trade one Binghamton police officer for one university police officer, while Johnson City is, pretty near increased the size of their entire police force by a third to protect some property. So, do this if you must, but I would expect to see a lot of action, a lot of arrests in this area, because this isn't going to stop. And, if you've seen the video, you've seen the kid telling me he tested positive for COVID-19 and then proceed to cough on me. So, and this wasn't the first video that I posted. I posted others that date back right on that demarcation line of March 17th or March 10th, whenever we went into this new way of life. So this, if I can find it, and I find it, and it's easy to spot, and the cups are all over, and I see them buying liquor all over the place, I wish you luck, but I expect that we need to have action. And Harvey Stanger has said he's going to begin a new policy of controlled socialization. Let him see it. But the long and short of it is these fraternities got to go. These are not gentlemanly fraternities we have in this area. They're rotten,
Sir, you have 1 minute.
fraternities, and they're operating with the cooperation of private landlords that are making a lot of money. And, these drinking parties lead to forced sexual activity. So we've got a whole big bowl of evil wax here, and I hope you can straighten it out. But it all begins with knocking down the doors of these places and taking out these kids to a nice jail cell. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to participate in the public hearing tonight for the social host law can dial 607-772-7101. Hi, you're here for the public hearing? Okay, I'll put you. Okay, please tell us your name and if you're a city resident.
Hi, my name is Tina Chronopoulos and I live on the west side. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great. So yes, I just wanted to make a quick comment on the proposed law, social host law. First of all, I think it's a real problem that folks who are underage drink. I thought that there are already laws that prohibit, endangering minors by providing them with alcohol. I see here that the punishment is $1,000 or 15 days of imprisonment. It seems to me, just sort of from where I'm sitting and not really knowing much about what's going on, that this is just another way to find people and get them in trouble with the justice system, which we know doesn't really work well. Wouldn't it be much better to use laws that are already in the books, working with the Binghamton University Police Department as well as with the university itself, maybe trying to also approach the office of fraternities and sororities and trying to get something in place rather than penalizing and criminalizing people even further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to call in can call 772-7101. Hi, you're here for the public hearing? Hi, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, try to call back later. Thank you. I couldn't hear anything on the line. The number, oh. You're here for the public hearing? Okay, I'll patch you through. Okay, please tell us your name and if you're a city resident.
Yes, Deborah Hogan, City of Binghamton resident. Would like to comment on this. I had a wonderful conversation with our Corporation Counsel Sharon, who helped explain this. I was concerned as to why we were having this particular RL being presented, and come to find out, something that myself and many of my neighbors, not only in Center City, but across the city, had supported under Mayor Bucci, Ryan, and David, was the nuisance abatement law, and did not realize that that pretty much has been found unconstitutional. That was where we had gathered points for various activities that were a nuisance and burden to the neighborhood, and were able to work with various departments at City Hall and the police. The conversation with Sharon in regards to this, my concern was how it affects the property owner, because in this particular proposed statute, it's for any type of private property, single family, condo, anything of that nature. But understanding that we don't have the provisions under the nuisance abatement law, this may provide some relief. The concern is there definitely has to be more involvement with Binghamton University. And the previous caller said, why don't we involve the university? Have done so. Very pleasant, respectful, even came out to one of the buildings in question at the corner of Court and Carroll, the old Delta Engineering building. It was a great conversation, but where was the responsibility on the students? Again, it seems like we're having to legislate for young people being temporary residents in our community that are doing things that they would not be doing back home. So unlike the previous caller, there does need to be some measure that will wake people up to be responsible neighbors. The concern is, and what I was led to believe, is the discretion for the fine and possible jail time is in regards to the host, and would be investigated by the detectives unit of our police department. Again, it's just really sad that we have to resort to something like this when people cannot be respectful for their neighbors. So again, I believe the essence or reason for this being presented tonight and it being taking effect immediately is because of university coming in by the end of the month and needing some type of measure to affect change, and hopefully if there's publicity and work with the Town and Gown Commission to help educate our young people in being responsible neighbors, and hopefully we'll have a safe semester, and we'll see how this works. Again, it can always be revised. Those are my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're here for the public hearing? Yes, I'll put you through. Okay, please tell us your name and if you're a city resident.
This is Richard Ginasio from the South Side. I'm a city resident. Speaking for myself, I oppose the proposed law because I looked at the meeting on Monday and I saw zero discussion about it. And there was no reason for the law given. I mean, I read through the law. I didn't see any justification stated. And I'm thinking of these kids coming back, or some of them starting university, and they have so many changes to put up with. And I don't think that they need this put on their heads. it seems draconian to me. If it's going to be enforced, it would require intrusion. And it seems paternal, and I don't think we need it. I think it's going to be more of a negative than a positive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The number again is 772-7101 for the public hearing. Hi, you're here for the social host law public hearing? Okay, hold on, I'll put you through. Okay, please tell us your name and if you're a city resident.
Hi, my name is Hannah Jones, and I live in the 3rd District, and I'm calling to oppose this measure. I do agree with the previous caller that it seems draconian, and while I totally understand the concerns about congregating, and I understand the concerns about frat culture and underage drinking, I definitely think there are other ways to police these issues besides, as one caller put it, like banging down the door of someone's residence and putting more like students into the justice system when they clearly, most of them don't have the funds to pay the bail. Putting them in there for 15 days seems so excessive, and doing a scare tactic to sort of, I guess prevent congregation in this coming semester, it just seems unnecessary. And if the conversations with the university haven't been productive, perhaps they could go back to the table and come out with some concrete measures that could be taken. I think ultimately this needs to be policed through the university and not through the city cops, where there could be increased incidences of violence. These students wouldn't know what to expect when they're coming through. It just seems completely unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you. The number again is 772-7101, and this is for the public hearing on the social host law. Hi, you're here for the public hearing? Okay, I'll put you through. Okay, please tell us your name and if you're a city resident.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Mrs. Chigario, and yes, I'm a West Side City resident. I'm calling regarding the 20-01 social hosting law. I support it. I think that, unfortunately, for our young people today, we have far too little boundaries for them to help them. There is far too much leniency. Everybody's concerned about the responses to things, but how about we protect our young people? There is no excuse for underage drinking, and many of these young people end up binge drinking and dying. That is a fact. There is a reason why we have an age minimum limit for alcohol consumption, and I'm very much behind this. I think it is a very intelligent thing to do. I think it's about time we become adults in the room and stand up and help our young people to help themselves so that they don't get in a social position where they end up getting themselves hurt or something worse. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, that number again is 772-7101. This is for the social host law public hearing.
We're going to go ahead and close that public hearing down. And the public comment, you have 5 minutes to speak. Please be respectful, state your name and if you're a resident. Grab that.
Hi, you're here for public comment? Okay, I'll put you there. Okay, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
My name is John Solak, and I am a city resident. The last meeting, I talked about the thuggery of the locals at Black Lives Matter, Binghamton Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow. I said at that time that I had been assaulted twice. Well, 2 weeks, let's make it a third time. This time, I was kicked in the face. Now, I'm older than anybody on council. It's not a very nice feeling to be kicked in the face. 2 individuals, one Messiah Andrews, kicked me. Another individual, yet to be identified, distracted me. These are videos on YouTube. Anybody can see them. John Solak. It shows my complete involvement in there until the time I was kicked in the face. And then I was menaced and swarmed for approximately 2¼ blocks by 2 other people that were with this Black Lives Matter. They chased me down the street. This is unnerving. This to me is unacceptable. This is turning our city into the violence that we've seen in other cities. So the question is, where's the sympathy? Where's the understanding? Where's the support for me? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be seriously injured or killed. Now, on these 3 attacks, I was lucky because I didn't fall. I remained upright. And these are big people. I weigh 150 pounds. These are people that weigh 275. They're 6'6", something like that. They're 30 years old. They're 70. You know, this is not a fair fight. These were unprovoked attacks. Yes, I've used video cameras. I've used video cameras since, I guess, the early 2000s. My vocation has been civic affairs, reporting before the internet, some 47 years. Now, I'm not going, and I've had probably encounters with all you council people. I don't think that I should suddenly stop because we have these violent people in this city. And this is not going to go well. Now, in looking over the application for this mural and this permit, I see that most questions, there were yes or no questions, were not answered by the applicant. Nor did the applicant post the $1 million liability insurance. So here I am assaulted, and you have no insurance. Now, I assume that the city was not sponsoring this event, and the application says clearly that the applicant must provide $1 million worth of policy. So why is there 2 sets of rules in this community? Remember the All Sides reunion? Remember the problems that created? You know, a guy just wanted to have a gathering at Rec Park. What's going on? Why didn't the applicant post $1 million worth of insurance? She needed $1,300 for her project. She raised $3,000. Why was this application approved without the questions being answered? You put me in danger. You put other residents in this city in danger. Now, these may be just 3 or 4 bad apples. Maybe. Hopefully. But they've got to realize for their own good, and I don't know if they can control themselves or not. I really don't know that. They're 30 years old. They should be able to control themselves. But for this to be allowed, to me, you've got to look at this yourselves. Yeah, I mean, Angela Riley encouraged. She encouraged one of my attackers. That's on video too. So, how far are you prepared to go? You're going to change the name of the city? You think Binghamton University is going to change the name of Bingham Hall? You're going to change the names of the schools around here?
Sir, you have 1 minute left.
At Slaves. This thing has gone too far. It's personal with me. And it would be personal with you if you were kicked in the face. we're supposed to be elder friendly, you know. These people hate senior citizens. They hate the elderly. They hate a lot of people. It's not just based on race. They hate Christianity, and they burn Bibles. They take down statues of the Blessed Virgin. So it's time for this city not to encourage this thing, and it's time, I believe, to yank that permit and take that mural down just on the basis of what you can see on YouTube on how these people operate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
We have to back up a minute. I need a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Motion?
Need a second?
I think Sophia did.
Second, yeah. You can hear me.
Thank you.
And all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You're here for public comment? Okay, I'll put you through. Hi, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
Hi, my name is Hannah Jones, and I live in the 3rd District of Binghamton. I would just like to respond to the previous caller and say that I think he's completely mischaracterizing the Black Lives Matter movement. And since he wants to speak about his personal experiences with the movement and the way they receive favorable treatment, I think I would like to show my side of the experiences with being a part of this movement and the resistance that I've been met with from the city. Since the George Floyd protests began, I have been following the press briefings in Binghamton, and I've been really hoping to see the city get on board with the national agenda to create more transparency and accountability for police officers. And in an effort to learn more about the culture of policing in Binghamton, I put in FOIL requests for the use of force procedures and use of force incidents reports. Those requests were ignored until I called to follow up. And even then, I experienced significant delays in having those requests fulfilled. Then I looked to the city webpage in the section titled Transparency and found an outdated report on the BPD from 2015 that actually said no anti-racism training was in place and recommended that they implement training immediately. The mayor's office wasn't able to tell me if they ever followed through on this or if a more recent report was available. I also had my emails to the mayor about the police budget go unanswered. These delays seem to be in an effort to deter me, but I was truly optimistic when I saw that 2 council members proposed a coalition to ensure police transparency and accountability, and specifically treat racism like a public health crisis, which it is. Unfortunately, I was very sad to see the mayor's response to form a stakeholders coalition instead, which he still hasn't given us any details about. And in fact, I think that seems to undermine the whole initiative. Then I saw the sheriff's office publicly complain about the state laws making disciplinary records available, making it an issue about their safety as if people become somehow empowered to resist arrest by having this information. And the same rhetoric was echoed in the August 3rd City Council proposal, which likewise centers around the question of police safety, despite the fact that no officer has been killed on duty since 1995. So it's hard for me to not view the mayor's stakeholder coalition, the sheriff's press briefings, and the recent proposal as a collective resistance to the community's demands for more transparency. And I think the Black Lives Matter mural is a very small step, and in fact, it's a performative step toward reform. I received a call from the city lawyer about my FOIL request for the use of force records, claiming it would cost me about $2,000 to get that information. Meanwhile, other cities in New York are making information like disciplinary records readily available online. So my concern is that the city of Binghamton seems to be taking our calls for police reform and transparency as a personal attack and are responding defensively like this previous caller. So why are they trying to shift the focus of the conversation away from the violence against Black people, which is a national problem, and make it an issue of police safety in Binghamton? Or for this man to say that the entire movement is somehow hostile or creating a hostile environment for citizens like him and their anti-Christianity, anti-elderly people. This is absurd, and it's gaslighting. I don't understand this logic, and I would really like to see the city and the BPD work with the community to build trust. And then the last month, I would like to say that my trust has steadily been corroded by their lack of transparency. And finally, I would like to just add that I want to know more about this $500,000 grant that the BPD is supposed to be receiving. And I would like to know why they're receiving grants while our youth community programs are taking cuts. Thank you.
Thank you. The number again for public comment is 772-710. You're here for public comment? Okay, I'll put you through. Okay, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
Hello, my name is Tina Chronopoulos. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to find it very difficult to follow on from the caller who just phoned in, but I hope that you will be able to, give me some benefit of the doubt. So first of all, I wanted to remind everyone that the American police has its origins in slave patrols and night watches. I'm not talking about the Binghamton police, I'm talking about policing in general in the United States. So the origins are in slave patrols and night watches, which existed to control the behaviors of minoritized people, to help slave owners in finding and disciplining runaway slaves, and to assist in preserving the economic order. And otherwise, it was about capturing Black people, and it was about protecting property. And the police was moving not just against Black people, not just against indigenous people, they were also moving against laborers, workers, unionists, white people. They were moving against white people, people who protested, who unionized, without whom we wouldn't have a 5-day week. Did you know this? We have a 5-day week because people 100 and 150 years ago protested for us to have those rights. And they protested so that we can have a living wage and contracts. And police were specifically put into place to stop this from happening. Number two, as I'm sure you know, Sheriff Harder recently gave a news conference during which he, together with other sheriffs, came together proposing new laws to protect police officers. For example, making it a Class D felony, not less than 10 years, but more than 5 years, to be within 25 feet of an officer doing their work, which means that videos of murders of people such as Eric Garner and George Floyd would be impossible and, in fact, a crime. Finally, I would like to, not just finally, but thirdly, I would like to read you a letter from somebody I received who was in Broome County Jail. This person writes, they have now been transferred elsewhere. The COs where I now am are very professional and will help you out if they can. They treat you as an actual human being. They don't treat you like crap, like at Broome. They are hands-off unless they've got to restrain somebody. Broome is very hands-on. I've never had any issues, but I've seen it many times when the CO will punch an inmate and so on. They do it out of view of the cameras or in the inmate's cell. I've seen a sergeant and a few COs drag an inmate out and brought them to intake because he was sticking up for something. When they got back to the dorm a few days later, we asked what happened. They brought this person to intake using the person as a battering ram to open doors while they were handcuffed the entire time. The sergeant kept poking this person in their eyeballs. They then put their hands in front of their eyes to guard themselves. The CO said the person was resisting, which gave them the excuse to beat them. This person said that they were beaten pretty good. This happens often. It's kind of bullcrap that they get away with this. They should be exposed to the public so the public knows what's going on inside that jail they pay taxes on. No one is saying, I think, that the entire police or that the entire jail system is brutal. What we are saying is that there are individuals who are violent. There are individuals who use the power that they've been given by the city, by the state, to be violent against people, and I think we should be doing a better job of holding them accountable. Like the previous caller, I am being stonewalled by the Binghamton Police Department when I'm putting through FOIL requests. They delay, they take their time, I have to pay money, when other places, both in New York State and across the country, are evidently finding it quite easy to make this material available to the public. And finally, I would like to thank members on the council
You have 1 minute left.
easy for constituents to participate in these meetings by letting us know what is important, by sharing information about how to participate, sharing minutes with us, and I wish more of you on the council would do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The number again is 772-7101.
Lee, this is Sharon Sorkin. I'm our assistant corporation counsel. I typically don't do this, but because the allegations have now been made by two callers, having personally reviewed the FOIL requests as well as the responses with regards to timeliness, the city is falling squarely in meeting its FOIL obligations, which require responses within 5 business days and charge a 25-cent cost per page or the actual cost of reproduction if the record does not exist electronically. Any allegation that the city is not complying with its FOIL obligations is simply false. And the last caller in particular has submitted approximately 10 FOIL requests within the last 8 days. And I'm not sure council is aware of that. If any member of council has questions with regards to our FOIL process, please ask.
Okay. That number one last time for tonight's public comment is 772-7101. You're here for public comment? Hello? Hi, can you hear me? Call back later if you can hear me. Thanks. It's good. Nothing. Hi, you're here for public comment? Sorry, we can't hear you. Call back if you can. I can't hear anything. And there's no caller ID that pops up. Hi, you're here for public comment? All right, I'll put you through. Hi, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
Yeah, my name is Robert. I am a city resident. Is there going to be a public comment section later?
This is it right now.
This is it right now. Okay. So I sent an email to the city clerk before 6 p.m. and for it to be read aloud, and I'd like it to be read aloud, please. I'd also like to say that the second call from John Solak was slanderous. He's never been attacked. I was at every incident that he described, and he describes them in terms that are utterly ludicrous. And he files police reports, so if they were true, I would think that the Binghamton Police Department would have done something about it. He wants us to believe that a, I don't know, 230-pound man who is several inches shorter than him somehow managed to do some kind of roundhouse kick to his face. He's obviously lying. And he does this all the time. He goes to these events without a mask, he gets in people's faces, and he antagonizes them so that he can falsify police reports and go to the hospital. I'll stop there. I just want to make sure that my email message is read.
Okay, thank you.
Read those at the end, okay?
Yeah. The number again is 772-7101. Sit. You're here for public comment? Hello? I don't know why it's not working. Hi, you're here for public comment? Okay, I'll put you through. Hi, please tell us your name and if you're a city resident.
Yes, my name is Carolyn Chigario, and I am a city resident on the west side. It seems to be that we're coming down to two main issues. Hearing from both sides, it's quite interesting as I mentioned last meeting, we know without doubt Black Lives Matter is a Marxist communist organization. Their founders are, as they have stated, trained Marxists who's on their own website. One of the main goals is to destroy everything that we are, destroy the families. All you have to do is read their website. It is quite clear. And then their New York chairman, Hawk Newsom, came out and stated, as I mentioned last time, on national television, if the country doesn't give us what we want, we will burn it all down. Now, that is not a statement from a Marxist communist of all-out war, then nothing is. We know that BLM has extensive history of violence. So far, they have killed a 7-year-old Natalia Wallace. They've killed Devin McNeil, 11-year-old little black boy in D.C. on the 4th of July, an 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. They shot them, 2 BLM members shot her while she was in a car with her mom. The latest thing, as of a few days ago, was BLM is now in the extortion business. They are officially telling everyone in Louisville that if the businesses do not meet their demands, that they will basically destroy their businesses. They have sent out letters making demands and extorting money. Businesses, whether they be white, black, or brown, or pink with polka dots, they are all being extorted for cash. This is a clear criminal organization that has its roots in communism. Anyone that has the audacity to presume to say that BLM is anything other than a criminal organization which goals are to destroy America is either a liar or they are completely brain dead. I don't know which, but to presume that you could say, and any fathom that they are anything other than very evil people, I don't get it. They have done nothing for Black people. They have addressed not one single issue for Black people. They have not addressed a horrific educational system for Blacks in the big cities. They have not addressed that 50% of all Black babies are aborted in cities every day. 50% of all babies are aborted. Can you imagine that? 75%, 3 out of every 4 Black homes with children have no fathers. Tell me about that. No wonder these kids are angry. They have no education. They're coming out with literally, and in Los Angeles, 75% of Black boys that graduate high school in Los Angeles are functionally illiterate. And yet Black Lives Matter says nothing about that. They go around killing Black people. They go around destroying Black as well as white communities. They have burned down Minneapolis. And their number one goal, of course, is to destroy the police. Now, anyone other than a criminal, I can't imagine, would fall for such an idiotic purpose. Because what happens if we get rid of the police? When the criminals come to murder, who is there? What kind of moron would ever, in their wildest imagination, support such an idiotic criminal organization? You would have to be a moron or a criminal, period. Everybody knows the truth about Black Lives Matter. They are in the pockets. They have raised, what was it, $40 million their first week. Where did all that money go?
You have 1 minute.
I tell you what, yes, I know, 1 minute left. Thank you. BLM is a criminal organization, and I will be doggone if they are coming into my community. I will fight them tooth and nail. And any of these callers that call, you know what? Either you are a moron or you're a criminal. So you need to wake up, figure it out. All you have to do is turn on the news and see the destruction that they are doing throughout the country. How dare you sit there and presume to qualify them as a good organization? I mean, where is your brains? I am fed up with it. I am sick of it. And from now on, no more. I am not, and I also have heard that you have been threatening members of the city council, and there's going to be something done about that. The city council needs to have protection. I have heard they have threatened a number of the city council members, and I will not have that in my community. So this is all out war. You want to start a war, you've got a war. Let me tell you, there's a lot of
Your
people
time's up, ma'am.
getting sick and tired of it. Thank you very much for your time, council members.
Thank you. That number again is 772-7101.
As a reminder, this is Sharon. Public comment period should be as focused as much on the city of Binghamton as possible. While we understand national issues overlap with local issues, the public comment period is really to discuss issues facing the city of Binghamton, which the caller did in the last, portion of her call.
Hi, you're here for the public comment? Yes, I'll put you through. Hi, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
Hi, my name is Emma Shenneman. I live in District 3. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you all this evening. I can tell from the webinar that you all forgot to do other things, so I appreciate you listening. I'm calling in out of concern for the recent grants the Binghamton Police Department has secured. I want to specify that my issue with these grants isn't coming from a pro-police versus anti-police stance. My concern stems from the city's response to receiving these grants. Last month, I was shocked to learn that the BPD was planning on accepting $481,000 in federal and state grants, even after the recent protests that have occurred over the past 2 months. When a large group of city residents ask for less policing in our community, why would the city then accept money that creates 2 new officer positions, like the community-oriented policing services grant provides, especially when research heavily suggests that the more police does not equate to less crime. During Mayor David's press release on July 20th, when asked if he was concerned about the community response to the city accepting these grants, Mayor David's response was that he believed that the city council would vote in his favor. This is where I ask you to take a moment to reflect on what this means. That statement reflects this notion that the BPD and Mayor David are looking only for city council support and not the support from the city's residents. As city council members, your vote is not necessarily your own. Your vote represents every single person that lives in your district. You are the gatekeepers between local government and the residents of Binghamton, New York. I hope when you vote tonight, you think of them. Is a vote of yes or no the vote that your constituents want? I hope you keep in mind all the people who have reached out to you these past few weeks about these grants. And I hope you put aside your own biases and political leanings to see this from a bigger picture, which is what does my district want me to do? And that is a very different question than what does the city officials want me to do and what do I personally want to do? I want to thank you again for taking the time to listen to me, and I trust you each individually will make the best decision for your district. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, that number again is 772-7101. Hi, you're here for public comment? Okay, I'll put you through. Okay, please state your name and if you're a city resident.
Yeah, my name is Tarka Jones. I'm a city resident. I wasn't actually planning on calling in, but that last caller, not the one but 2 ago, was so disturbing that I just felt compelled to call in. As somebody who works for racial equity and justice, nationally, locally, personally, interpersonally, that woman basically just declared war against me and thousands of others in this community, that are standing beside Black people who are demanding for justice. Now just think of that for a minute. Is that a group of people
who have been systematically repressed for 400 years in this country are finally standing up and demanding justice to be free from violence of the police state. And that is met with psychopathic, delusional rantings in which this woman really wants to incite war. I can't even fathom that hatred and rage that woman must be experiencing. Not just delusion, but rage. And that it's rage against people who are clamoring for justice is so unpatriotic and un-American that it's disgusting. This is not her community. This is our community, and we define it. And I proudly stand with all those who are calling for justice for Black and brown individuals. I would say one last thing, that we need to stop talking about these incidents as individual actions and what their intentions are. And we have to start looking at systems and what the outcomes are. As someone mentioned earlier, the origins of law enforcement was to capture people who were enslaved, who had escaped, and police officers were bringing them back to their captor. It was then, after Civil War and the end of the Reconstruction, which was violently repressed by the white South, the criminal justice system became a way to reinstitute slavery. It would arrest free Black men and women for ridiculous reasons under unjust laws, for loitering, for having too much money in their pocket, not enough money. And then they were sold to corporations to pay off their court and criminal fees. Many of them died under that arrangement, which was a disgusting form of slavery. Again, law enforcement made that possible. When there's been racial disparities because of our housing system, our lending system, land use systems, law enforcement has been there to police those laws, unfair and unjust laws that have led to disparate outcomes based on race. In the 60s, we see all the time, the 40s, the 50s, and 60s, it was law enforcement that was upholding racist laws in the South. And then it pivoted to the war on drugs. So in every case, the law enforcement and the criminal justice system has been almost a terrorizing and oppressive force on certain people in America and has been perceived completely differently by other parts of America. And that is what we need to keep our focus on, is that what we're calling for is an end to unjust systems.
Sir, you have 1 minute.
Policies. Thank you. And this is not about individuals in the police department, whether they're good or bad. And I would tell you that if you proceed with that resolution, it would be extremely poorly timed. And you'd basically be saying, in a much more diplomatic way, exactly what that crazy woman ranted about when inciting war. You'd basically be turning your backs on everyone who stands for racial justice, who's walking alongside Black and brown residents, and you're saying you don't matter. I hope you please reconsider. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Why don't you read into the record the longer email from Robert, please? Why don't you ignore the phone for a minute? Sure. I'm gonna have Lee, the clerk received 2 emails from residents, so I'm gonna have Lee read those now. We can take a break for the phone and certainly go back to it in a minute.
Okay. Do you want me to summarize it or to read the whole thing?
Well, you probably should read them.
Okay. By now, I'm sure members of this letter is from Robert Wilson. By now, I'm sure members of this body are aware that Emily Jablin, whose projects are often publicly funded, has been slandering and harassing Black and other minority members of our community. To save time, I will only mention a few of the worst abuses, of which come directly from Ms. Jablin's own public statements on social media. Emily Jablin has repeatedly slandered a community with an Arabic name as a community member with an Arabic name as a terrorist. One post uses his name in a parody song of the Dinah and places won't you blow your horn with don't you blow up my school. She accuses him of orchestrating a vast conspiracy against her in his capacity as president of the organization, has nothing to do with. The names names Republican DA Mike Korchak and nearly every Binghamton Democrat as co-conspirators. Ms. Jablin also posted videos in which she coaches children of color under her supervision to call this person's private number and ask for reparations. The organization targeted by Emily Jablin plot provides educational programming, organizes protests with organizations across the region, advocates for Black families, and donates money, food, and other essentials to the city's most vulnerable groups. She accuses Black residents associated with plot of being thugs, bullies, terrorists, monsters, stalkers, extremists, and a hate group. Earlier this year, after the disappearance of Dominic Davey, a Black man and beloved father, teacher, and Binghamton University PhD student, Ms. Jablin claimed a fundraiser for Mr. Davey's partner and children was evidence that he had been fake kidnapped by plot as part of a money-making scheme. I'm sure council members will recall that Mr. Davey's body was later discovered downriver and his death ruled a suicide. After public outcry against Ms. Jablin's malicious slander, school districts officially attempted to prevent her from continuing to work in our schools. Ms. Jablin then filed a complaint with the New York State Human Rights Division, claiming the district discriminated against her because, quote, I am white. By her own admission, she has hounded numerous public entities, including the DA's and governor's offices, trying to find a sympathetic ear for her ludicrous accusations. Most recently, Ms. Jablin has broadcasted the name, address, and photo of a Black community member with alleged ties to plot. She accused him of pedophilia because he reposted a photo of minors that Ms. Jablin herself had already posted in a public forum. She then announced her intentions on Twitter, quote, I'm going to start a rumor that he is a pedophile, and if I can't find proof of it, I'll make it up. I've yet to hear one word from any public official denouncing or even acknowledging the vicious campaign of racism, slander, defamation, and harassment pursued by a person so highly favored by the city. Even if members of this body refuse to believe that Ms. Jablin's conduct is violent, I hope that you are not so naive as to think that doxing Black people and accusing them of terrorism, hate crimes, kidnapping, stalking, and pedophilia does not endanger them and their families. In the year of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, I hope you see I'm not exaggerating the threat posed by Ms. Jablin's actions and by the actions of her enablers, which include Mayor David and any member of this body who refuses to denounce her behavior. The last time I wrote to this body about threats to Black lives, several council members chose to waste time by whining about swear words and accusing of racism. Tonight, spare us with another carnival of white fragility and just answer the following. Do you support Emily Jablin's campaign of racism and abuse? Do you support her presence in our schools and public funding of her programs? Will you go on record tonight denouncing Ms. Jablin's behavior and committing to doing nothing in her power as city council member to stop these attacks and ensure the city never supports her again? Should you decline any harm that comes to any of Jablin's victims or their families, will be on your cowardly heads. And that's from Robert Wilson.
Another one also, please?
Yes. The other one is almost word for word what Ms. Carolyn Jagerio called in earlier.
That's fine. We don't have
Yeah.
to read it.
Okay. And those are the only two letters we received.
Want the number one more time before we move on, please?
The number
Lee,
one time. Yeah.
Lee, I'm sorry, this is Sharon. Can you put in the name of the resident who submitted the second email, just as we did for Robert Wilson?
Yes, it was Carolyn Jagerio who called in earlier tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And that number one last time is 772-7101.
All right, we'll go and close the public comment section of the meeting. Onto the preferred agenda. Introductory ordinance 20-72, consider finance, Councilman Strong.
Well, does anyone want to remove anything?
Anybody want to remove anything from the preferred agenda? Please speak up. See, then we'll move forward then.
So
Okay.
we'll read in the first one. Okay. So the first item tonight on the preferred agenda is introductory ordinance 20-72, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2020 capital fund budget to close grant lines that are no longer active. Any comments?
Any comments? Julie, go ahead, please.
Okay, next we have introductory ordinance 20-73, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2020 Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Board budget for health insurance permits and fines and equipment rental lease.
Comments, questions? Bradley, please.
Next is introductory resolution 20-70, considered in planning. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with New York State DOT for replacement of street lighting along the pathway for the Greenway project, New York State Route 434, and that's PIN number 903826.
Questions or comments?
Next, we have introductory resolution 20-71, considered in planning. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with New York State DOT for a shared use path on Pennsylvania Ave to Murray Hill Road for the Greenway project, New York State Route 434, and that's PIN number 903826.
Questions or comments on this?
And the last item on the preferred agenda is introductory resolution 20-72, considered in planning. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to extend the time for construction of the State Street pedestrian streetscape improvement. That's PIN number 9009.36, and State Street traffic light signal upgrade, PIN number 9754.08.
Questions or comments on this? Roll call on.
Mr. President, motion to approve the preferred agenda.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yes. Okay. Councilman Scaringi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strawn?
Aye.
President Scanlon?
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
That's a non-preferred agenda. Introductory local law 20-01, consider an MPA. Councilwoman Resnetti, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consideration and introductory local law 20-01, a local law amending the code of the city of Binghamton to amend chapter 170 to include Article 3, consumption of alcoholic beverages by minors on private property, also known as social host law.
Second.
In favor? Roll call.
Any
Discussion.
This is Councilwoman Friedman. May I make a comment on this?
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am not in favor of this local law, and I'll tell you why. For a few reasons, actually. So I was brought to Binghamton by Binghamton University. So I experienced the social life as a Binghamton University student for 4 years. I, believe it or not, I know this is hard to believe for some people, but I legitimately waited until I was 21 years old before I started drinking. I have never drank underage. However, part of my social life was attending parties where other people were drinking underage. And I know that my experience is just anecdotal, but I know that it's as part of the culture. I don't believe that adding another punishment or increasing the punishment for providing alcohol or drugs to people who are underage will be a significant deterrent. Just based on, again, the culture, my own personal experience, students or people who are supplying alcohol to those who are underage, I think are already under the assumption that they could get in a lot of trouble for doing it, but they do it anyway. And I believe that underage drinking is an issue, but I don't think that we can solve that issue by by being punitive about it. You know, there's something about the culture. I think it's an American college culture. You know, it's part of the culture of American universities that underage drinking is a big part of it. And I don't believe that adding potentially a criminal record to a student's what's the word that I'm looking for, or adding a crime to a student's record, whatever, is going to solve the problem of underage drinking. So that's why I personally, I agree with the problem that this local law is trying to address, but I don't believe that this is the way that we can go about solving it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Other questions or comments?
Mr. President, this is Councilwoman Arsenetti. Yeah, no, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I heard everything that, you know, Councilwoman Friedman just said, and I get it, you know, having young kids. I'm the mother of 4 kids, and I've watched 3 of them already, you know, in the college setting, and have seen, you know, what goes on. It might be part of the culture, but I think we have a responsibility to continue to take steps to support our young people and to make sure that what we do allows for them to be in maybe a safer environment. This social host ordinance will assist, hopefully, in reducing the high risk underage drinking that really puts young people in danger. And in addition to that, often when there's large gatherings with folks who are drinking, it also disrupts the neighborhoods. In the past, law enforcement had limited resources to hold people accountable, and really this is what this is about. It's holding those accountable who are hosting these parties, who are providing young people with alcohol. That's all I had to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Yes, Council President. This is Councilwoman Riley.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to both of my fellow councilwomen who spoke prior to me on this issue. It has been very interesting to watch the discussion in the Town and Gown Committee, as well as hear feedback from other committees from campus about the faculty, staff, and resident perspective, as well as the student perspective. And so it places us, again, in a quandary about what works statistically significantly to address social ills, societal problems. And what I've heard is, again, from my constituents, that policing or increasing statutes for extending arrests or criminality is not the solution. So we cannot necessarily police our way out of underage drinking, drug abuse, and several things. So I am concerned. I am concerned that we have the number of deaths that we have related to drinking. I am concerned about the large parties as a resident but I'm not sure that this step will be the method to address those concerns in the best way. Thank you.
Good point. Councilman Burns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I have a lot of the same concerns as councilwomen that just spoke. And having been a parent of students that went out of town to school that lived off campus, I know that I'm the one that signs the lease. So, you know, I just don't like the fact that that we're opening it up so that, you know, these parents are, it's just more trouble for a kid to get in. I agree that I don't think it's going to stop anybody from drinking. I know in this time of COVID, it might be a reason to separate people and all that sort of thing, but we got to pretend that COVID doesn't exist if we're putting this law in forever. And I think, you know, kids that are binge drinkers are going to drink. They're going to, whether or not they do it just with 4 people or they do it with 100 people, they're going to do it. And I think that it's giving more, it's sort of going to give the police more power over them. And I think that there's enough laws on the books about drinking. So that's how I feel about it. Thanks.
Councilman. Other questions or comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question McCall, roll call please.
Councilman Scaringi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley?
Nay.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Nay.
Councilman Burns?
Nay.
Councilman Strawn?
Aye.
President Scanlon?
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, 3 nays. The nays were Riley, Friedman, and Burns.
Introductory resolution 20-73, consider finance. Councilman Strawn, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask council's unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 20-73, a resolution authorizing the City of Binghamton Police Department to use awarded funds to implement the Give 6 initiative and fund aspects of the Southern Tier Crime Analysis Center.
Second.
Questions or comments on this?
Yes, this is Councilwoman Friedman.
Yes, go ahead, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to explain my reasoning because I think my vote might surprise some of my constituents that are listening in. I do actually support accepting this grant because, first of all, it's subsidizing money that would otherwise be spent using our residents' tax dollars. So I do appreciate that. And also, there are 2 things that I do like about the Give initiative. One is crime data analysis. I think that we should be analyzing our policing and crime data. I think that's really powerful, so we can make sure that we're, approaching crime in an equitable, non-biased way. But also, the other thing that I particularly like about the Give initiative is the crime reduction through environmental design. So I know there are people listening in now, so I just briefly want to explain. Reduction of crime through environmental design means addressing issues in the physical environment that proactively reduce crime. The example that was given was a broken street light that then maybe reduces burglary or something like that because people can then see. That's the kind of policing, or I shouldn't say policing, that's the kind of crime reduction that I absolutely support, is proactively looking at the community or looking at the environment, the physical space that might be leading people to act in certain ways that would otherwise not be acceptable. So I do support this, but I wanted to explain that because I think people might be a little bit surprised by the way that I'm going to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Other questions or comments?
Council President, this is Councilwoman Riley.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I too know that I mentioned this before, that we have seen an extensive amount of advocacy efforts related to the grants that are for the police funds, not only this week, but I think for the past 2 to 3 weeks. And so I celebrate our constituents for reaching out and again, sharing with us their concerns. Similar to my fellow councilwoman, the GIVE initiative, well, before we were told we now need to go through a different process to meet with different members of the police force. I did sit down with our GIVE team to find out more about what this grant entailed. And it did require some true reporting and looking at hotspots in our areas. It also required outreach strategies to, again, reduce gun violence. And there are reports. They didn't know we wanted to see them, but again, we do want to see them. So they are willing to give us those reports. And those are the things that, again, we need to see. And because this team was hired with this line, and if, again, we do not support the continued renewal, they will still be on the payroll. I think it is in our best judgment to support the renewal of this grant.
Other comments? Thank you. Other comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
McComb?
Councilman Scaringi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory resolution 20-74, consider finance, Councilman Strawn, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for council's unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 20-74, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept and use $250,000 through the DOJ COPS office to fund the hiring of 2 newly appointed officers for a 3-year period.
Comments, please?
This is Councilwoman Friedman.
Yes.
Thank you,
Actually,
Mr.
Sorry, before you chime in, that needs a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ooh, I hear an echo. Okay. Can you hear me okay? Are other
Yes.
people hearing that echo? Okay. This grant I do not support. I've received a lot of feedback from constituents that are upset that we are seeking to add more police officers to the force amidst nationwide cries about, how we have to reconsider the way that we police. And adding more police officers to the force is not going to increase community safety, because we have to be approaching community safety looking at the whole picture. So like I was talking about with regard to the GIVE initiative, looking at things like the surrounding environment, or maybe the systemic issues like poverty or racism that might cause people to act in ways that we feel are counterintuitive. And this also requires a match by the city, this grant. So this is what I see as retroactive policing. I worry about my constituents that feel like they are being over policed, that there's patrol cars coming around all the time. If we are going to take a serious look at community safety, adding more officers to the force is not the way to address that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Other comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Hold on, Councilman Burns has a comment.
Yeah.
My apologies. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to say that I wish I had a magic wand that I could take this $250,000 and use it to help people that are being evicted from their homes or people that are suffering in any other way, to help the people that had the fire down in Aviva's district the other day. However, I don't have a magic wand, and this money can't be used for anything else. If we say we don't want it, then it's going to go back to the Department of Justice, Department of Injustice, so a lot this year, but it's going to go back to them. And I just feel that representing the taxpayers, that I can't send money away. You know, they're putting money into our account. So I'm going to vote to accept it with the hopes that when the mayor and we do the budget, that we maybe find now some money within the police budget to help put more mental health experts in the police cars. I know that I know the mayor is doing that now, but I know after 11 o'clock at night they're not available. Maybe we can make it available after 11 o'clock. You know, maybe there's things that we can do with that money to help the police department in ways that it isn't being helped now. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Other comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question been called?
Councilman Scaringi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Nay.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Nay.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, 2 nays, Riley, Friedman.
Introductory resolution 20-68, considered empty.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous council consideration for introductory resolution 20-68, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Keystone Associates Architects, Engineers, and Surveyors, LLC, for design services for a new fire station at a cost not to exceed $650,000.
Need a second, please?
Second.
Comments?
Yes, this is Councilman Friedman.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to say this every time that the fire station is brought up. I very much support having a new fire station. I know that we need to get the fire equipment, the heavy equipment out of City Hall due to purported structural issues, but I just am, me and my constituents are upset that there was no public input solicited when choosing the location at 235 Fort Street. So I do support the design of the new station, but I always have to say every time it's brought up that I'm disappointed at the way we went about doing it. Thank you.
Other comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question been called?
Councilman Scaringi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, on a public comment, I believe we left off, I believe it's Councilman Strawn's turn first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to briefly say that I appreciate the the robust conversation tonight on all fronts. A little concerned on some of the harsh language on both sides, quite frankly. I just hope that we can all take a deep breath. I truly believe, I know that the people on this body truly want what's best for the city of Binghamton. Sometimes we come at it from different angles and different perspectives. And I really believe that the people that called in tonight and are participating in this discourse, which, like I said, I appreciate, I truly believe that they want what's best for the city of Binghamton too. So I just hope we can kind of take a deep breath and kind of connect our verbiage and our thoughts and understand that we really want what's best for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Under Councilman Serengi, please.
Just want to thank,
I'm sorry, did you say Resonetti or Scaringi? I didn't hear.
Councilman Serengi, please. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
no, it's good. Just wanted to thank the residents who reached out to me with some garbage issues today and the DPW and Megan for all of their great help. That's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Under Councilwoman Resonetti, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple quick things. By next time we meet, we will have already started the rebuilding of our space. So that's really exciting news. So I just wanted to highlight that. Rebuilding is supposed to start August 17th, and weather permitting, it will get completed pretty quickly, I think within a week or two. So that's really exciting. I want to thank everybody who has supported this project. I can't wait to see it moving along. And then just a big thank you to Public Works for just a great job they've done in our streets, milling and paving. It's been really busy here in this particular district, I'm sure throughout the city. The weather's been great. They've been working really hard. I'm really impressed with how quickly they have moved along. I'm getting messages from residents who are thrilled at how fast they've moved along, and also that our streets are looking great. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Under Councilwoman Riley, please.
Thank you, Council President. I want to, again, I always start off with my James Baldwin quote, but I will not quote it again tonight. But we are here to represent the best for our constituents, for the best of the city. And again, we will disagree, but as long as it is not rooted in the oppression and the denial of others' right to exist, that is the main principle that I keep highlighting. I want to thank Park and Recs for responding to the call because our little library on Walnut Street was without a door. So they did respond quickly to assist with that. You know, we don't follow the directions necessarily. We put books and food and it stays empty. So I am excited that, again, people are utilizing that resource. We also have a cleanup day happening in the Noma area on Saturday, August 15th. So I thank the committee to bring hope to Binghamton for picking this area. We will be out there using our appropriate social distancing protocols, working to pick up in and around that area. So if you guys want to come out, we'd love to have you. It's going to be a great day. It's, again, August 15th. I'd also like to thank all of the constituents, again, that have reached out to us just to provide their feedback about the governance and how we effectively legislate on behalf of the community. Again, we don't agree with everybody, but we have to listen and bring those ideas to the table. Finally, although it was not in my district, I thank my constituents who came and dropped off things here at my house for the Liberty Street residents. We did run over to do what we can, and we will continue to do so. So if there is anyone in any district that is in need, you know, if we hear about it, I know we would all run out to assist. So I thank everyone, and again, look forward to the days ahead. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Under Councilwoman Friedman, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to mirror what my fellow colleagues have said, in particular, Councilman Strawn, commending all of the constituents who have done research, spread information, called in. I feel like we have had more and more constituents participate in the meetings as time goes on. And I think that's awesome. You know, I don't mind a long public comment section. In fact, I really like it. I like hearing from constituents who mirror my opinions, and then also from constituents who disagree with me. And I think that's an important part of being a public servant and in our democracy. And I hope that this continues even after we can go back to meetings in person. I think that the virtual meetings allow people to participate in government who might not otherwise be able to. I think that's an important initiative. The other thing that I would like to say is, like Councilwoman Riley, who mentioned the really unfortunate fire that happened on Liberty Street. And there are some parts of the North Side that for some reason get a bad rap. And I have to say that when I was canvassing, and anytime that I go on Liberty Street, I'm amazed at how tight-knit the community is there, that even though this unspeakably horrible thing happened, there are residents on Liberty Street who, no question, just stepped up to the plate and who are accepting donations, who are housing displaced people. It's really amazing. I think that if more streets had the sense of community and camaraderie that Liberty Street did, I think that we would have a stronger community. So I really, really commend the people who live on Liberty Street. And if anybody has donations, clothing, diapers, food, I'm trying to think what else, school supplies, I think was one of the things that was needed. You can drop it off. There's a house on Liberty Street that is accepting donations. It has a sign outside. Or you can get in contact with me and I can put you in touch with that person. So thank you again to all the constituents that participated in the meeting, and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Now, Councilman Burns, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to say that when it comes to the public comment, the hate-filled comments are not welcome to me. And I'm glad that I'm not on the Hollywood Squares, not, you know, when I have to listen to them, because I would end up, my face would end up editorializing the way that I'm feeling, and the same person then would take my photo and say, "Oh, look at him," you know. So anyway, that's how I feel about that. I wish you could, if you're still listening out there, keep your hate-filled stuff, give it to somebody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourn.
Second, any?
Second.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.